Hello everyone. It's time to talk about the Fujifilm X-M5. I recently bought this camera, so this isn't a sponsored video. And as I mentioned before, I'm not one of those cool people who get cameras before their release. But you know what? That might make this video even more objective. Well, as objective as my subjective thoughts can be. This camera is pretty similar to many other Fujifilm cameras. It has the 4th generation 26 megapixel sensor paired with the latest X-Trans 5 processor. You also find this combination in Fujifilm X-S20, so we know from the X-S20 that it's a solid package. And we know from previously 4th generation cameras like the X-T4, X-E4, X100V and many others that this specific sensor is a good sensor that produces amazing colors, just like any other Fujifilm camera. So let's not bother talking about colors too much. And since I haven't had the X-M5 for very long, this isn't going to be a deep dive, but let's talk about what I like and what I don't like, and ultimately why I decided to buy this camera. First, the size. The camera is small, like really small. If we compare it to the Fujifilm X100V, it's even smaller. However, if we put it side by side with the XF10, Nikon Coolpix A, Ricoh GR3 or even the Fujifilm X70, it's not quite as compact. The main frame of the camera is similar, but it's deeper. So yes, it fits in a jeans pocket, but it's not as comfortable as, say, the XF10. Still, for an interchangeable lens camera, that's pretty impressive. It doesn't directly compare with those compact fixed lens cameras anyway, but in some way it kind of does. Next up, the video capabilities in the X-M5 is solid. It offers 6.2K open gate recording, which is fantastic, and it's loaded with features for social media and short form content creation. You clearly see who Fujifilm targeted with this camera. It also comes with 422 chroma subsampling and 10-bit recording, which means this could easily work as a reliable B-roll camera. A few years ago, specifications like this were only found in higher-end cameras. At this price point, it's impressive. In fact, I'd say this is the best, most affordable camera for filmmaking that you could buy right now. Here's something you might not expect. I actually like that the X-M5 doesn't have IBIS. For my workflow, it's a good thing. Without IBIS, the optical stabilization in lenses works better when I'm filming with a slider or gimbal. Plus, cameras with IBIS sometimes feel a little bit more fragile over time. So for me, this design choice helps with durability, maybe. Let's continue to talk about the design. Fujifilm made an interesting decision to keep the left side of the camera completely clean from ports. Instead, the HDMI and USB ports are located on the right side, which means the fully articulating screen is actually usable when you connect an external monitor or power supply. That's a big plus. However, this compromised the grip on the right side. The solution? Well, add an external grip or wait for someone to design a cage that protects the ports while improving the ergonomics. A well thought out cage could really make this camera shine for filmmaking. Another small but convenient design detail is the strap mounts. The X-M5's mounts are compatible with Peak design anchors without needing any extra attachment. It's a little thing, but it makes the camera more enjoyable to use. Of course, no camera is perfect, so let's talk about the downsides. The ergonomics aren't great. The back of the camera uses textured plastic that's supposed to mimic rubber, but it doesn't feel as secure or comfortable as real rubber, and it's a little bit slippery. Strangely, the front of the camera has a material that feels closer to real rubber or fake leather. I'd rather have that material on the back where grip matters. Adding a thumb grip like the one from the XE4 could make a big difference. At the moment, thumb grips are hard to find, but with a little modification the XE4's thumb grip works decently. Then there's the fully articulating screen. Personally, I prefer the tilting screen found on the XE4. It's quicker, more compact, and it just fit my shooting style better. But hey, at least the ports are on the right side, making the articulating screen usable in some scenarios. Another downside worth mentioning is that the X-M5 is not weather sealed. This does limit the usefulness as an everyday carry, especially in harsher climates or unpredictable weather. However, considering the price, this isn't really a surprise. If we compare it to other cameras of a similar size like the GR series XF10 or Coolpix A, none of these are weather sealed either, so yeah. That said, I don't usually carry my cameras in direct rain. I tend to stay under an umbrella, but even with this precaution, my gear often ends up getting some water on it. In those situations, my X100V still holds a strong position in my kit, especially here in Scandinavia, where I often need the peace of mind that my gear can handle a bit of rain or snow. For those conditions, the X100V's weather sealing is an advantage. Now, that film simulation dial. If you're shooting JPEG with custom recipes, there's a compromise here. The custom functions are separated from the film simulation dial. If you want your custom functions to adjust the film simulation, you need to set the film simulation dial to C for custom. This setup limits you to 4 custom modes, where other Fujifilm cameras often have 7. Personally, I configured 2 custom modes for stills, one for animals and the other for black and white. The other 2 are for video, one at 25 frames per second and the other at 50 frames per second. While it's a bit restrictive, it works well enough for me. A lot of people have complained about the film simulation dial. Personally, I'm a raw shooter and I kind of like it. Yes, I would probably prefer the dial to be something else, like a customizable dial as on the XS20. But the film simulation dial is still useful because I actually changed film simulation and I want a proper representation of my final results on the display. So, why did I buy the XM5? For me, it's about versatility. I wanted an everyday carry camera that I can grab and go, but also needed something capable of shooting high quality B-roll. The XM5 fit both roles perfectly. It's small, portable, and powerful enough for professional jobs if needed. While it's not a filmmaker's dream camera, you can still get high quality footage from it. In the end, the Fujifilm X-M5 is probably for the content creator or the photographer who wants a small, everyday carry. That's kind of where I sit. It's a great mix of features with a few compromises. It's compact, capable, and offers fantastic video specifications for the price point. Sure, the ergonomics and the screen designs aren't perfect, but the overall package is solid. If you're looking for a small, capable camera that can do a little bit of everything, the XM5 is probably what you're looking for. It's not a replacement for cameras like Ricoh GR series or the X100V, but if you want that Fujifilm experience with the Fujifilm look and the colors, it's a solid option. So, there you go, my first take on the Fujifilm X-M5. If you have any questions about this camera, drop them in the comments below. Thanks for watching and keep creating amazing images. See you next time, where we're probably going to talk about the Fujifilm XF10.